HBO has released the first 2 images from The Last of Us Season 2. The Last of Us, of course, based on the games by Naughty Dog, major PlayStation exclusives. The first season based on the first game. And from what we've heard, the second season will be based on The Last of Us Part 2. So I have talked about this before. I think that no matter how you slice this, it's going to be a problem. A little bit of spoilers ahead if you haven't played the games. Spoilers for the games and obviously for the show. So The Last of Us is a perfect game to adapt for a TV show simply because it is so narrative driven. You have this story of Joel in the show played by Pedro Pascal, and Ellie, the young girl who comes under his care, who he has to deliver to the Fireflies across the country, played by Bella Ramsey in the video game. And it's the game itself is a linear, story-based, character-driven game with a really powerful ending, and they did a pretty damn good job adapting that to the screen. Partly, I think, because they had Neil Druckmann, who was worked on the video games, who was in charge, the director of the video games, also helping showrun the show. So that helps. Whatever you think about Druckmann, I know he's a controversial figure. Having the guy that made the game make the show is probably a good idea. Now, the problem comes up in season 2 simply because it is. There are several reasons why it's just going to be a really difficult season to adapt in a way that actually pleases fans. First of all, it's an extremely bleak and grim video game. I came away from that video game feeling not only a sense of sort of despair and hollow emptiness, but also really disliking all the characters. At the end of the first game, you have complicated feelings about how everything went down and where they ended up. You like Joel and Ellie quite a bit, but Joel lies to her, and he does it to save her and out of love, but that's, no matter what, that's a complicated moment for them. In The Last of Us Part 2, and I'm assuming Season 2, I left that game just feeling like I despised everybody. And part of that is because, of course, Joel is killed right in the beginning. So the main character of the first game is just killed off. And you play as Ellie for half the game, and then you play as Abby, the person who kills Joel, for the other half of the game. And by the end of it, of course, I understood and empathized with where Abby was coming from, but I still found myself really loathing her as a person. She is not a good person, and I did not like to spend time with her. Because the more you learn about her, the less you like her. Even though you empathize with why she would want revenge, you just dislike her. She is a bad person. And Ellie, who you love in the first game, who I loved in the first game, ends up being this vengeful, murderous psychopath who loses everyone she loves because of her constant drive for revenge, and who at the end of the game I really disliked as well. Really disliked that character. So that's a real problem with Season 2, how they make us care and not just hate everyone and leave the show feeling really let down. But also, as we look at these first images, which I'll show right now, you see, you've got Pedro Pascal looking rather good. I think he looks better in this image. He looks a little more put together in this image than he did in Season 1. Of course, he's had some time to rest and relax. And then you have Ellie, Bella Ramsey, and here's the problem. She looks like she's 12 years old still. And that worked in the first game. It worked that she looked younger than her age in the first game. It does not work in the second game. Ellie in the second game is 5 years older and looks the part. She looks much older. She looks lean and tough and dangerous, which she needs to be because she kills like 5,000 people in that game. But Bella Ramsey, whether or not you thought she did a good job in the role, I thought she did a fine job. I thought she was perfectly fine. I thought they wrote her strangely. One of the big changes between the game and the show was that they made her a lot less likable. She was a lot more, I don't know, she was a lot more, and I guess this is just how they write kids and female characters these days, but she was just a lot less pleasant. And in the game, she's actually, even though she has her temper and it's like it makes sense when she has her temper, and most of the time she's a really likable character. Like if I were stuck with somebody, if I were Joel and I had to be stuck with some kid to go across country, Ellie's the kind of kid that I'd be happy that I was stuck with in the game. In the show, not so much. She's kind of a pain, and it's a little harder to believe her character and his character have such a bond. I do think that improves as the season goes on. But the problem with season 2 is that she's just not. She still looks just as young. By the way, Bella Ramsey, who is like non-binary, has said that her pronouns can be any pronouns. She doesn't give a shit. If you call her, she, her, they, them, he, her, him, she doesn't care. So I say she, her, because to me, that is the most natural sounding and looks the most like her. She looks like a she to me. So she, her. We're going with that. I do try to be respectful of people's pronouns, but I will also admit that they, them sounds really fucking weird to me. It's very jarring. So if somebody's cool with she, her, or he, him, I'm gonna go that route. Anyways, I don't know how they get around this. These two problems. One, the story itself. It's just too grim, and not in a fun way, not in a good way, not in a Game of Thrones way. In Game of Thrones, Ned Stark dies, and that sucks. But like, there's a lot of other characters to carry the show after him, and it propels the story in really interesting ways. In this, there's really not that many characters, and killing off your main character, or one of your two main characters, in the beginning is going to be really unpalatable for a lot of people. And I don't know how you do Ellie when she still looks 12 in this story. And it's weird because Caitlin Dever, who is cast as Abby, looks just like Ellie in the video games. She would have been a perfect season 2 Ellie. I mean, she probably could have pulled off both seasons, but she would have been a great season 2 Ellie. And I don't think she looks like Abby. And I don't think that they should make Abby the video game version, because she was absolutely way too bulked up for the scenario. Like, yes, there are bodybuilder women. No, she's not a bodybuilder in the game. It makes no sense that she's that strong. Post-apocalyptic strong, like scavenging and fighting and like that hard scrabble life, yeah, you'd be strong, you'd be fit, but you would not be bulky. And it's such a bizarre design decision to make Abby so bulky, it doesn't fit the story. Anyways, so that's where I'm at with season 2. I am looking forward to it. I thought season 1 was really good. I didn't think it was as good as the games. I think there was a lot of things that that sort of paled in comparison to the game, but there were a lot of things they did right as well. And I am looking forward to season 2. I'm hoping they make changes that make it a more digestible story, a little bit less just icky. And although I hope when Ellie kills bad guys, that other bad guys come out and start and say, "Frank, what happened to Frank?" Oh, I thought that was so goofy. I have such mixed feelings about that game. They did some things really well, but overall I left that game feeling quite let down. And I just still think that the first game never needed a sequel to begin with. And that the series, in the same boat, doesn't need a second season. And like so many other series, it just could have been great with one season. So we'll see. Let me know what you think in the comments. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and thank you very much.